to do this episode of Office Hours for, oh God, like at least 3 months. At least 3 months. Hey, Altier, how you doing? Quietus, thank you so much for 10 months. Wow, dude. Wasting your money for that long. Guys, without further ado, I must introduce the bird sitting next to me. The one, the only, the Titanic, DDBuilds. Hello, DD. How are you today?
I'm good. And geez, I'm so sorry. You were looking forward to this, and I just have a bird for a webcam.
I don't know. I think it adds to your mystique.
A little bit of stubble. Somewhere under the feathers.
Yeah, Altier, I was seeing you saying that about your getting your cap and gown and ring and all that set you back a pretty penny, but hey man, graduating. That's pretty awesome.
Congratulations on graduation.
Finally, I'm awake and online during a stream again. Quietus, it's so good to have you with us, and you're here during our conversation with DDBuilds. This guy, Instagrammer, YouTuber. By the way, exclamation point DD in the chat, double D's. We'll get you links to his Instagram and his YouTube channel, and that link is going to be, or that command is going to be live for. Good Lord, why is my bot not working?
Oh, that's always fun.
Okay, well, Doc's gonna go over here and reset the bot real quick. So you're embarrassing me, bot. We'll restart the bot in about a minute and a half. We'll try it again. But if you guys weren't aware, DD does, nope, he does stuff like this. Yeah, that.
You had it on demand.
I do have it on demand. He does stuff like this. So if you can see all the things rotating right down around here, you see that bottle of Nuln Oil. Oh, there's a Custodes. Oh, there's DD's favorite little Lego man.
Everything for scale.
All for scale. This is what he does. And this does not do it justice, because we're going to talk. One of the big things that I want to talk to you about today, DD, is your insane obsession with detail. Because
yeah, it's insane. Sorry.
Yeah, you go out of your way to freehand so much. Why? I think is the first part of this many-parted question. Why?
Best way to put it is spectacle creep. Like, I get these ideas in my head that I just want to do. And it's like, oh, this will look nice. And then before I know it, my mind's just like, yeah, but you can add this, and you can add this, and you can add this. And before long, it's run out of control. And it's like, I don't think I can do this anymore. And then after I do it, it's like, oh, I guess I could do it.
Well, it's, I mean, it must be nice to be able to kind of just keep stumbling forward with your intended goal and adding to it, and then looking back and be like, oh, turns out I could. I'd love to do a resin pour. I don't know how to do a resin pour. Let's go for it. Oh, it worked. Cool. Let's keep going. But with that, do you think that this, as you call it, spectacle creep, do you think that has pushed you on the specific techniques that you already liked using, or did it push you to expand into new techniques?
I think it's a mix of both. Like, it has pushed me to discover exactly what I could do with freehand, because about a year ago, is it a year ago? No, sorry, 2 years ago. My best freehand was like drawing triangles on a Bretonian Knight's little standard.
Okay.
And I was just like pretty damn concerned about getting everything else wrong. So you can see, like, I guess best way to put it. Sorry, I'm trying to get words in my head.
Yeah, no worries.
It's like you stare at reference pictures at first, and then you're like, am I really capable of doing that after doing like months of just base coat, shades, highlights, that sort of deal? But it's about slowly the spectacle creep in my head was just pushing me towards, hey, why don't you just do it? Because how else are you going to do it? How else are you going to learn, make the mistake, and figure out what the hell's going wrong so that you can fix it and actually do it yourself? And another point is, like, if you're going to paint minis, then what's doing test runs all the time going to do? Your minis are still going to sit there. You might as well get them done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So after that, it just formed into this constant rotation of just, I want to do this. Idea pops in my mind. I don't know if I can do it, but I might as well do it anyway and see what happens.
So from there, were you already doing YouTube, or through your experience with like pushing yourself, because that little voice in your head telling you just go for it, it's really nice to see that you kind of listened to that voice, because I'll admit for myself, and I'm sure for many people in chat, it that sort of reaction to that little voice in your head, most of us still shut it out, like, oh no, I don't trust myself. Like, you actually were like, okay, let's go. Altier's still making it look like it's not working. Check, see if I can still connect back to the dashboard. It might still be restarting, Altier.
I do just want to confirm that despite listening to it, there is a palpable like sense of doubt in the back of my mind. And that's something that I guess I'd recommend to newer painters to just get used to. Like, you're gonna doubt what you're able to do, but how else are you gonna discover what you're capable of if you don't try it?
Someone clip that, because that was inspirational as hell. I completely agree. I had it actually pointed out to me today that in their eyes and in the eyes of other people in the discussion, that I had grown a lot as a painter over the past couple of weeks because of
You
the
do
models.
phenomenal work.
Thank you.
Never put yourself down either, Dr. Rano. You do great work.
Well, I appreciate that, but even I would admit that the past 2 models that I have worked on have been big level up moments. The Android statue, and now the piece that I'm entering at Adepticon. So pushing yourself, being willing to take that risk, and as much as I know I've said it, it's really hard for me to take my own advice, or to just listen to the axioms that I tell everyone here, like just remember, it's only paint. It's no big deal. It's a big deal to me. I still like I can't bring myself sometimes to like experiment on a model that I intend to play with, because I'm like, what if I mess it up? How do I mess it up? You scrub it. But it's a constant fight for all of us, myself included. I think I'm just getting lucky with right time, right model, right mentality. But what, like, I mean, I need to know the road that led to you doing a Warlord Titan, because that's not a oh, I'll just stop by the game store, like, I always wanted to paint Lau Kavai, like, like, okay, it's a big, impressive, detailed model, but it's not the most expensive thing that you can buy from Forge World, the already most expensive source of
Absolutely agree. Like, and to be absolutely honest with you, a year and a half ago, the Warlord was nowhere on the table in terms of things I wanted to get. And it's just another example of spectacle creep, so to speak, where what led to the Warlord is every time I design an army, I make it around like, okay, what do I want it to look like? I picture it in my mind. In this instance, it would be my central army, which would be my 40k Bretonian force, where it's this giant conglomeration of Sisters of Battle, converted Bretonian knights that act as Imperial Guard, and any other assorted things to get that whole Shrine World feel. But when making an army, I always have like all the little things, and then you have like one big centerpiece. And the problem with Imperial Knights is they're all big, so what centerpiece is there for 3 segment army, so to speak? And slowly it started growing on me like, you could do a Warlord. I mean, the Warlord looks like a knight. And it's like, that price tag though, and like everything is like the work that has to go into it, the amount of detail, everything is like, you really want to do this? And then, yeah, the mind does stupid things. We'll just leave it at that.
So I mean, painting it is one thing, but just watching the videos that Midwinter Minis is putting out about the process of even assembling one, and the videos that the Play on Tabletop guys are putting out about the Manta, like, How did you even put that thing together?
They're nightmares. You just have to go slowly and just see every little rumor of like this is the quality of like Forge World you will experience on the Warlord itself.
Oh,
I think one of the best ways to put it was one of the upper torso segments that held one of the reactors into place looked far more like a parentheses than it did a straight line.
oh God.
And that was get a heat gun. If you're gonna do a large Forge World model, get a heat gun. You're gonna need it.
A heat gun, a
Not the
razor saw, a,
yeah, not the big heat guns like the ones that have like
a respirator.
temperatures at the back. I'm talking about like one of those cheap $30 Amazon ones that can slowly heat something up. That way you don't like melt the piece, and then Forge will just laugh at you.
I still
But
like for that price tag, man. How are the pieces not straight?
yeah, it's a questionable buy. And as you're holding each piece, you can see the sculptors just they poured their heart and soul into making this thing beautiful. But then somewhere in the casting period, it just went wrong, and it's tragic, really. I'm not trying to rip on Forge World. Like we all know,
Oh, yeah.
it's highly priced because it's luxury goods. No one's gonna field like a Warlord Titan in a competitive game, so it's not like it's a necessary piece of equipment.
Yeah.
So it's best to look at these high-priced Forge World items as just the luxury Ferraris that they are. They need work, they need maintenance, and by the time they're done, well, you can only hope they look good.
Yeah, for like
Because
the
for the most part,
one
it's gonna sit in your garage.
yeah, for like the one time a year that you bring one out.
Yeah,
Like
and
you're like,
then,
oh, we're going to either an event where I'm just gonna put it on a table and let people look at it, or you're gonna go to an apocalypse game and you're just gonna put it down on the floor and be like, this is my contribution.
yeah, and then you stare across the table as your opponent, who knew it was coming, puts like all of those anti-Titan vehicles onto the field.
And you're just like, why did I come here? Why did I risk transporting this thing? Will is just simping so hard in the chat, and it is so hard not to just be like, Will, shut up. You're distracting me. Hey, Will. No, you
I don't think I should make that my election slogan. It sounds like a bad idea. A vote for DDBuilds is a vote for a Titan in every home.
A chicken in every pot, a Titan in every home. What is the you said there was a particular part that was bent like a parentheses, but what was your biggest like when assembling the Warlord Titan? Be it when you were like even when you were just cutting the resin gates or like sanding something, like when was a real moment when you were like, oh shit? Either in like a bad way, like something like you the scale of the problems that we're gonna face we're starting to become apparent, or
I would
just
like to
this
say
is awesome.
the oh shit describes half of the entire build and paint process. So it's kind of hard to narrow one down, but thinking back past all the forced repression, let's see. I think it was all right. So one that comes to mind is the Gatling Blaster, which is the big Gatling gun on the left arm, and all 6 barrels and the central parts that hold it together are all separate. None of the barrels were straight, and making sure that thing, the epoxy's just set right, was a nightmare, and way more rubber bands than I thought I would ever need on something.
I just I'm just thinking about everything you went through, and even the little like I have a Leviathan Dreadnought behind me, and that thing's barrels were all like like just pointed out in all different directions when they were supposed to be like this. They were and just imagining that on that scale.
Yeah, you know it's a project when you're making a model and you have to bust out the woodwork and measurement tools and everything.
Yeah.
When you have braces and stuff, you have multiple multiple clamps. There might as well have been cramps at this point, I guess.
I see. This is one of it's hearing stuff like this, which is really important for me because I start getting those thoughts. You know, like these people in chat are part of the problem where I'll sit there and be like, maybe they're right. Maybe I should do a Warlord Titan. And then I hear this and I'm like, no.
Yeah, the voice of reason and the voice of warning, that these things are work.
Well,
And
it's equally that, and the fact that, well, I am crippled by the desire to have everything I paint and own be useful. It's only with that android lady that I decided I wanted to keep something that I can't play with. And a Warlord Titan is something I know I would never play with. So, you know, like, why? Why even?
Yeah, there is a lot of collector mentality in owning one. Like, absolutely. And just looking back at it, despite all the complaints and all the misgivings and stuff like that, I finally assembled it and it was, photo shoot time. I'm just so glad I did it.
Oh, I can imagine, especially how much time you spent on these panels. Like, as they go by, like, I think one of the most inspired decisions you had with this was doing black and white for the panels. That was such an incredible move. Let me see if I can pull up a couple pictures.
It's further down on the timeline. The entire decision behind that was I wanted it to match the marble better. So black and white was the obvious choice. Oh,
wait,
no, that's not that one.
It's not just that. I need to see. There we go. But but we're also
a little glimpse of my madness.
There we go.
Oh, okay, you're doing those ones.
There we go. Look at that. Look, chat, look at this. Like, look at that. Look at it. Look at the sense of scale. Look at the perspective. Look at the atmosphere. This man has too much time. No, I'm
agreed.
Yeah, no, Pinbot, that I think that is the most succinct way we could put it. Like, this is amazing. How many, okay, actually, for this, to make people realize that you are in fact not a god, how many times did you have to restart on these panels? Did you ever have to strip it down, go at it again?
There were no restarts. Once I made a move, that's it, you're living with that. So you either turned a mistake into a piece of progress or you find a way to fix it.
Okay, so that backfired.
I'm sorry, it was the Bob Ross mentality where every little mistake has to count.
Mm-hmm. Yep, happy little accidents.
Plus, getting a mistake like way far into the piece is just kind of like, there's no way I'm gonna restart. No, F that.
Like, look at that. Look at this. Look at this, Chad. Look at that finger. Look at that. Just look at that. There's this little fingertip right there. And then look at the rest of this. Unbelievable. So did you really... Was working on those panels like an enjoyable challenge? Was it describe to me your thought process when you're like, I want to put, this star field on this panel. Like, how did that come about?
So it came back to the theme of the Titan itself. So a little into the fake lore of my night world is that every city has 3 of these Titans, so to speak, Grail Guardians, and each one has its own thematic. And this one is based on pride, so it's like pride of the realm and stuff like that. So all of its stuff was based on landscapes, the creatures that live there, that sort of deal. And so for this one, it's like, how do I paint the kingdom it's part of defending? So every landscape, every creature, like, all of it just helps you piece together what exactly this realm looks like. And in this case, there's a lot of waterfalls. You see mountains with nice little low-hanging clouds that make it look like there's a sea in the valley. Just helps piece together exactly what you're looking at, which I already said. I'm talking in circles, aren't I?
No. This is like you're laying it out very well. So don't be down on yourself. The idea, well, the idea that concept informs function which informs the form. At least in my mind. So you have your lore that you've written, and I always, when possible, like you could be a Valrak and just be like all in on Imperial Fists and just know and love everything in Imperial Fists, and that's fine. But
He does lovely work.
I'm a make up your own shit kind of guy. So when I hear I came up with my own world, and like each city has its knights that defend it, and then you're like, okay, well then how would a knight from this city be portrayed? Oh, well, pride the city, so it would put this city that it is proudly defending on its armor. And like, then what does this city look like? And that again ties back into the lore you've created. So by, in a way, already having fun with the game, in this case making your own lore, allows you to have even more fun and freedom of expression, ease of freedom of expression with the model that you're working on for the game. So it's your fun is exponentially improving the fun you have later on. It's like it's fun at squares.
Definitely with you on making custom armies, regiments, that sort of deal, because it's just you make it yours and you can do whatever you want with it. There's no boundaries anymore. Like, how do you get these ideas? How do you flesh it out to make it look even more like it's supposed to? Like, how can you tell they're from a swamp world, or how do they fight carnivorous creatures? Like, what kind of battle tactics do they take into place from the place they came from?
All excellent questions. The kinds of things that can lead to even subconscious decisions on model design. Excuse me. Rhino, can you put the knight behind you and make it wear your Rhino onesie till you paint it? Oh, I could, couldn't I? But the other thing I want to talk about that, like, I will unabashedly, not this exact pattern, of course, this like sort of Fields of Grain vibe, but I want to do something similar to this on a model in the future, because I think this is one of the coolest designs I've ever seen. Like the idea of paint something blue, white, and then what did you use? Like white ink or blue ink or something over
Pure
there?
Pearl Curl White. And then right over it's the blue transparent.
The blue transparent. Okay, cool. Wow. Because that is... I love it. Like this is the kind of design that just like what did Matt Yee say about this? He says, "I've nutted so much in the past 3 days, I'm a raisin of a man."
I think I remember that comment.
Yeah, that was a good one. I kept like every day when he was streaming and you had been posting the new videos of the finished Titan, I'm like, he posted another one. I just threw it in chat, like, look at it now. So it was oh, hey Beefy. Oh,
Beefy. Oh geez, I haven't stopped in your stream in a while. I feel awful. There's like 700 mini painters all at the same time.
Yeah, it's really fun when we get to have a community that is so like, I almost said,
were you
like lovingly inbred? I'm like, that might not come out, that might not come across well.
Let's step away from that edge.
Yeah, but it's we're very supportive of each other. So like you'll always see like other streamers in other streamers' streams, as well as like the same, like, I'll see Richard in my stream, I'll see him in Zambi's stream, I'll see him in Orky's stream, and so on and so on and so on. So it got to the point where I'm sure you had this moment too, where like it was the first or second time you started showing up in a stream and go, hey, hello, insert streamer here. And then like 3 people in chat go, hey, Dee, hey, Dee, how's your day going? And you're just like, oh, I know all of you people. Hey, like, it's like, it's my people. And
yeah, it's a really great community feeling.
Mm-hmm. It's always great when we support each other. So thank you so much, Beefy Kobe, for that raid, and all tier. Thank you for shouting out all caps Beefy Kobe. Voxel Forge, hello. Everyone, I'm interviewing the disembodied voice. There, he's over here. He's not over here. He's over here. The disembodied voice of DDBuilds, the creator of the Warlord Titan that grabbed the Warhammer community by the testicles and just swung it around like it owed it money. This thing.
I guess that's one way to put it.
Where's the Alabama? Where's the Alabama? Where the
Alabama of hobby communities? We've peaked. All right, close it all down.
Roll Tide. End of stream. And I mean, there's no proof to say that DD isn't a bird.
Beefy's right, and I'm going to take you out later because you know too much.
A very sophisticated parrot. Which actually, you know what, that leads to a very good question, DD. Why is what appears to be some sort of blue macaw your like, you know, logo for your YouTube channel and just like everything else that you have?
Honestly, it was a stopgap because I didn't know what else to put there, so it was a placeholder, and then it just sort of stuck. I was like, okay, I mean, it fits the whole blue theme. I guess blue's gonna stay around, which is the name for the parrot, just blue. Plus, I would love to have a macaw. It's, well, I should say I used to want a macaw, but it's just like you get a bird that big inside of like a cramped space. It just doesn't feel too right.
Yeah, it's they need space. They need lots of stuff.
They should be free in the wild doing whatever they want, waking you up at 5 in the morning.
As model painters, as like people. Oh, and Riot Sister's here too. Hey, Riot Sister. Yeah, another raid, another one. Thank you so much, everybody, for hopping in today.
It is raid time. Better protect the shorelines.
No, see, like we're like, everyone's like, oh, we're coming to get you. Yeah, come on, come in and sit down. Here's a sandwich. Here's your tea. And they're like, raid? Yes, raid. Sit down. Have a good time. My aunt had a parrot, terrifying little bugger. Yeah, the thing with parrots though, like we remember we're hobbyists who, you know, we play with stuff like this. To a parrot that's bored or just a vindictive little shit.
Yeah, it's a target.
This is a chew toy. Like everything I have on my shelf, a Warlord Titan, ooh, that's prime pooping territory.
Also kind of a reason why, as much as I love cats, it's way off the table.
Mm-hmm.
Because everything else would be off the table if I had a cat.
Stop hitting that. Well, so and also the fact that like at our age, like getting a parrot is like you may as well do it now if you want to have any chance of that parrot like dying before you do.
Yeah, like the big blue hyacinth macaws, 50 years plus easy, no problem.
Yeah, you see them on like there's my wife and I like to watch those veterinary shows on like Nat Geo or Animal Planet. And there was one that was an exotic animal vet, and she was in like Texas. And there's people coming in with like, oh, this is my grandfather's tortoise, and then my parents had him, and now I have him. So he's been in the family for like 65 years. Just like, oh my god. And then they're like,
as well be great grandpa.
Yeah, and then there's this, like, exactly like you said, there's like, oh, and I just inherited my mom's parrot. She had her for 50, or not 50. She had her for like 35 years, and I've had her for 10. And it's like a family pet that takes on a whole different meaning with a bird like that. So yeah, I'm glad we finally got to, because I was always curious, but I could never think of an appropriate time to ask you, like, so what's up with the parrot? Rhino, will the Warlord Titan be at Adepticon? Not sure where DD is. DD, are you going to Adepticon?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay.
Plus, if I'm going anywhere with that Titan, it's being driven. So I'd be going halfway across the country to get to Adepticon with it.
Yeah, I think because Richard had also asked if it was going to be in Golden Demon.
Oh, no, it's not going.
I think it's something to consider for a Golden Demon piece. I challenge you to show me someone else who has entered a Warlord Titan for Golden Demon.
Honestly, I feel like it'd lose.
Oh, I'm sure you would.
Because
I'm sure you would.
It'd easily lose because there's so much more to just criticize about it. Especially for one thing, it's I guess we'll call it the basic golden trim, so to speak. It's not shaded true metallic metal or non-metallic metal. My whole design process on that was just, this thing's so big, it's going to be casting its own light and shadows. Why should I bother?
Exactly.
Just let the light do all its work, because this thing is just, it's a small child. It's a small resin child.
And in answer to your question, Beefy, do they allow Titans for the Demon? I think they do, because they straight up allow you to just make up your own shit. Like they let people, there was apparently a period of time where everyone was making their own like custom Primarch models. Like it was right after Gilliman had come out. So they were like being like, oh, like what about a Fulgrim or whatever? And I don't just mean like kit bashing. I mean like straight up sculpting their own and entering it in Golden Demon. I thought it was like Here's your Mutalith Vortex Beast. Also, spoilers, it arrived. Here's your Mutalith Vortex Beast. Sure, you can convert it a little bit, but it still has to be a base GW model. Turns out, sky's the limit. So this guy bringing the Warlord Titan, I think, would be totally acceptable. But I mean, I get your point. I mean, there are people who work on a single entry for like 5 years, which is just like, why? Go play with your toys. But the Warlord Titan has obviously been a big project for you. But you recently had a very innocuous post.
Oh boy.
About future projects. Tell me.
Yeah, so as expensive, big, and like time consuming as the Warlord was, it's just the most expensive, the most elaborate of 4 colossi, so to speak. And by that, it's the 4 biggest things in my backlog that can be started at any given point. The Warlord's done and out of the way. The next one would honestly make the Warlord look smaller. And that's the only one I'm quote unquote teasing, I guess we'll say, because its best description, it's a small end table. And I can probably put drinks on it when it's done.
Can you promise that you will?
I think I will actually.
Okay.
I'll probably take a picture of it because
just like a little video of like you play some music in the background. It's sitting right next to like, you know, you'll see the arm of a lawn chair or something out in the yard, and then you're like, you just hear look, and then you see a glass of like something like sit on top of the model. Manta, Emperor Titan. No, guys, remember
no,
he said
Emperor
it was
Titan.
He said it was cheaper.
Although it is funny, Python said Emperor Titan because I am in possession of one. It's not obviously garage size. It's not one of those. It's Adeptus Titanicus.
Okay.
Like for armies, like, you know, going back to the whole thing, every army will have its centerpiece. Titanicus, it's just like it has to be an Imperator. And going on eBay, I ran into a surprisingly cheap build of someone test printing a Titan that looked really, really good. It was designed around the one on that. I'm so bad with Black Library, but it was the one that was featured on a book, so to speak. That was red, had hazard stripes on it. I forget. Someone had a name for it, but I just flew over my head. But
the only Titan that the only Titan of that class that I can think of off the top of my head, and I don't even remember what it was visually described as, but it's the one from Hell's Reach that fought next to Grimaldus and everyone defending against the orcs in the Third War of Armageddon.
Yeah, everyone in chat can say names, and I'll just have no clue which one it specifically is. But from what this guy described, it was his own custom print. He wasn't sure about being able to sell the design because, you know, GW copyright. And he wasn't sure how profitable it was going to be, so he put it up for auction, the third print he ever did. And because of how many failed prints it had just getting it to me, I wasn't surprised when he stopped doing it. So for the low price of cheaper than the Adeptus Titanicus Warlord, I got an Imperator.
Nice.
Which, and so Python asks, how the fuck do you find an Imperator Titan? You just get lucky. You just get really lucky when you're scanning eBay.
I don't know how, like, you and Matt Yee apparently have all the luck on eBay. Like, oh, I was just on eBay and I found this auction that was like, you know, last minute, still easily like super cheap and in my price range. And I just happened to be there and bam, like last bid, got it. I'm just like, how? Because every time I look, I never find anything. Or anything I do find is at the very best reasonably priced, which is how I ended up with this guy.
I'm not sure what Matt Yee does, but my specific strategy is there's a site called PickClick, and it pretty much just condenses eBay searching into like different parameters and makes it really easy. Just scan through hundreds at a time, like no problem. And that's pretty much what I do. I just go to PickClick, throw in a few like buzzwords, and then see what just pops up.
I'll have to do that.
And it'll be like, it's just something like, I'm just waiting for the coffee to kick in, so I might as well do something that's just like brain dead.
Yeah, I know that there's one thing on eBay that I've been watching because I don't want to pay full price for it, and I admit I did throw a lowball offer, but he had the thing set to like auto deny the offer. So I was just like, fair enough, dude, fair enough. I tried to cut in at half of what you were asking. So
Hmm.
that's reasonable. If it were not for Gear Guts, Big Mac Daddy, then I'm a loss as to what it could be. I actually, did you see the new creature caster like giant that looked like Hermes with like the like weird metal inlay in the skin sort of
I did
thing?
not, but now I'm curious.
Oh, it's let me for all the kids at home.
Let me see if I can beat you to it.
Oh, you probably will. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm right here. It's the post. Got it. I got it.
Oh,
I got it. Bam. Haha. I got it. Look at this guy.
that is awesome.
And Vince Venturella was part of the design. So that's cool.
No wonder it's awesome.
But like this guy, he's got big buff daddy energy, and I'm here for it. And I think it would be a really fun thing to paint.
That is great classic Greek vibes.
Mm-hmm. And I swear I heard you say classic Greek thighs. And I was
Same
like,
thing.
I'm like, also yes.
Same thing.
Also yes, the classic Greek thighs. Buff what? Dude, I'm getting it. The Vince Venturella ones. Yeah, I and the fact that it's going to be a whole series makes it very exciting. But I have to admit, I kind of maybe have caught the bug a little bit with painting big models, but I'm going to be able to scratch that itch because we were talking about large models and how I have this desire. I must get value out of what I'm painting. I want to be able to use it. So I had someone help me, and they made a list of models that could be used in 40k and in Age of Sigmar as one army, and it's demons. And I wanted as many big demons in it as I could get. So it's got Be'lakor, a Keeper of Secrets, and a Lord of Change. So I'm very excited for that. And if the rumors are to be believed, with that little video teaser, this year we can expect some sort of new chassis for a Chaos Knight. And I'm going to do that one as well. Cool. And that'll be the final model that I do for my Knights army. I was going to do 2 Megaras, but then I was like, at this point, the double Megara thing is a bit like dirty cheese. And I don't want to buy Forge World anymore. So kind of solves my problem there. It's like, oh, brand new sculpt. I'm down for that. I'll just like dial back the chaos a tiny bit. Just make it look more edgelordy as opposed to chaos.
Just to touch on something Will just said, I'm striving to be like Rhino and have no backlog. I'm failing miserably. Will, don't worry, that goes to the vast majority of us. Rhino is a rare exception. And he's actually able to clear the backlog.
Well, it's bear in mind, everybody, me being an anomaly in this respect is also because I work from home. That's my work laptop. My job is also really not that stressful for me. So do some work, spin around, paint. I paint at least 3 hours a day. Every day. If you paint that much every day, you will have no backlog. It's not like, oh, Doc only gets 2 hours a night when he's streaming, and yet somehow everything gets done. No, I paint a lot. And also, I have this magic ability to just buy slower than I paint. I also, it's funny I mentioned that. I was actually thinking about, since I started painting, like from moment one, I'm like, I love this. I want to do this all the time. So I painted starting in August of 2020. I've painted a minimum of like 2 hours a day every day since August of 2020. And then you add up all those hours. Everyone very generously likes to say, oh, Doc, you've improved so much. Oh, Doc, you've grown so much. Oh, how do you paint so fast? Or how are you growing so fast? Like, time. I put in the time. If you put in the
Yep.
time, you'll get there.
And that's the real trick to it. It's just time and practice. The more you do something, the more you will improve.
Yep. No matter how much you try to avoid it, you will improve if you put in the time.
And tragically, the converse is also true. If you're not able to put in the hours in, skills do degrade.
They do.
After a point of time.
Will apparently hasn't been able to paint in a week and Altier in a month. I'm just tuning in after finishing up with Studio J7. Solid Soul, thank you so much for stopping in. Yeah.
What's up, Solid?
We got my boy DD. What did you miss? Literally everything.
Yeah,
literally, we're just finishing up.
Total dumpster fire.
Yeah, he told us what his next big projects are. Something about the Elixir of Life. I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention.
You roast the Elixir of Life over a dumpster fire. That's how that works.
Oh, that you got to get the char.
Yeah.
42?
If it doesn't smell like rotten garbage, you did it wrong.
I knew you need stuff. Let's talk. Oh no, Richard, don't worry. We're starting on a Mutilith Vortex Beast, which is going to get raffled off with the Nova charity auction in May that I was asked to be a part of, which is really cool because it's going to support Doctors Without Borders operations in Ukraine. And I'm going to be painting this guy up with various tones of blue and yellow. So that'll be the little Ukrainian flag connection. So that'll be fun. But by the time that is done, I will hopefully know what I need to purchase to start building the diorama using the Imperial Space Marine 2016 model that Matt Yee gave me, because that is going to be built up into a diorama that I am going to start painting slowly over the course of the next year, because I'm entering it in Golden Demon next year.
Next year it does well.
Next year, Doc goes to Golden Demon. He won't win, but he's going to Golden Demon. But for like immediate painting projects, the army that I've been really excited about for about 4 or 5 months is being released for Conquest. So I'm going to be starting a Conquest army within the next couple weeks.
Will you be building them as you go, or?
The cool thing about Conquest is when you buy like the start collecting box, it literally is like with the equivalent of 2,000 points in a box. So I'll have everything I need to have an army. Now they'll come out with more units over time, and I may pick up 1 or 2 of those, but I'll just build everything and then paint it. Good evening. Oh God, I always get this name wrong. Teal. What up, Teal? Teal. Hello. Just Teals works. Okay, Teals. Thank you so much for stopping in, and good evening. I'm hanging out with DDBuilds, mostly talking about my own shit. So, chat, what questions do you have for DD? Because bear in mind, !DD in chat, if so you can get links to his Instagram and his YouTube channel. His YouTube videos are hilarious. Like,
it's an excuse to be a twat. Because I like making people laugh. I like making people happy, and I like inspiring people to like find out what they're capable of, because everyone is very much capable of becoming awesome. Like, don't let anyone say otherwise.
Right here. You get me right here. Because you're absolutely right. But the like, I mean, just thinking about your mold line scraper video, like I was chuckling pretty damn hard like the entire time. I like videos that have like you and Bricky have a similar editing style in the way that you like kind of throw like memes and like little sound bites and stuff into the videos, and that just like I am your core demographic with that shit, because that keeps my ADHD brain focused on the screen. So not only is it funny, but it helps me stay engaged. So thank you.
Thanks, and I appreciate that you vibe with everyone thing, but that is coming across like that. Because my whole idea is I want to come across like just a chill, casual guy at the GameStop or the GameStop.
Oh yeah, you guys remember GameStop?
Oh my God, GameStop! Like the chill guy at the game store who's just like, you ask him a question like, how do you do something, and he just like just casually gives it to you while throwing jokes in and stuff like that. Just like, you know, being your buddy. Like, that's all I really want to accomplish with the YouTube channel.
And I think you definitely are accomplishing that. Solid says that this may have been asked before, and I believe we actually did kind of cover this, but could you reiterate for Solid, how did you work your way up to the level of detail that you've done with the Titan? Or the Knight, actually. They specify with the Knight.
Okay, I know which Knight he's talking about. It's about 2 feet to my right, but essentially 2 months before I made that Knight, I had no idea how to freehand anything except an eyeball. So the only way to work up to that level was to just slowly batter your way through freehand and force yourself into doing a more complex design every single time. I went through about 34 old school 7th edition Bretonian Knights freehand before I could actually, before I got to that Knight in particular, and just went for what was essentially true freehand, so to speak. I don't mean to say that as just like, you know, trying to separate into a category as its own sort of deal, but to just bring up the imagery that it's like, this is like when someone says freehand, this is what they think about. And when freehand is essentially just you're taking a portrait and you're putting on a miniature.
I should be over
like
here.
That grade.
Because I just naturally like leaned on my left hand. I'm like, I'll just sit behind the reel over here. But when you said like this is true true freehand, I'm like, as opposed to non-metallic freehand.
No, sorry, I didn't mean to sound like gatekeeper.
No. Like it's just like
it's just hard to categorize things sometimes.
For so long, you hear like true metallic metals and non-metallic metals. So you say true freehand. I'm like non-metallic freehand. Did you guys see that? Did you guys see DD's piece? All non-metallic freehand. No move back. Oh, move back. Oh, so they want me over here so that I can't be, so they can't see my face. So I'm just a pair of hands, just like leaning over here. Oh, DD, your piece for Butterfly for Hannah was amazing. How did you get that done so fast?
Coffee and Panic.
I also am a huge fan of your. Oh, I scrolled past it. Your butterflies for Hannah piece.
Up, you scroll up again.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just Coffee and Panic. That's all it boiled down to: coffee, panic, and experience on being able to do that stuff. So
gorgeous work.
All the blend in on this just came from my blend-in experience on that giant squig back in October. And the freehand is self-explanatory. Plus, the basin is just like all my effects that I've been used to doing since I first got back into the hobby.
Yeah, and speaking of effects, that was the other thing that you were making a really big splash with, which was your doop 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 doop. Where did you go? I had just seen you. Oh, your Harlequins. These beautiful, beautiful bastards. With your flake and cotton. You did a video actually on how to achieve this effect, did you not? On the YouTubes?
Yeah. And there's a second follow-up video coming soon on how to do it for a vehicle. But that one just keeps getting delayed and delayed because freehand takes a bit.
Well, folks, again, this effect, like I thought there was a lot more involved in it. Turns out DD has again mastered one of the things that I find most appealing to me in the hobby, when you can maximize the impact, the result of your time to comparatively little actual time used to create the effect. So in this case, putting purposeful and like very well thought out placement of a bit of cotton and then some of the flake can give this sort of a look that helps sell Harlequins that much more. It's just
makes it a little hard to game though, because man, do they love shedding those flakes.
I mean, but at the very least for like a display piece, like that's The only other thing that I've seen that even comes close to this is the guy who was using, like, I'm assuming blue stuff to make casts, and he did like the 3 Harlequins, like
Oh
going
yeah,
back in
the
a,
mirage effect, that was beautiful to see too.
yeah, and he hasn't even painted it yet, and I'm like, I wonder why you're not painting it. Or could you in fact be worried about how you're going to paint it? Because I would be, because there's so many different ways you can approach that mirage. But this is something that can give this is me gonna get art bougie, but this is you going the printmaking route on the, like, brush and canvas art world and bringing art to the people. This is giving somebody an effect, a high level effect, but cheaply and quickly, and minimizing the amount of skill required to pull it off. And that, to me, is liberating, and it's important. Because if everyone needed to know how to do, even if blue stuff molds can be called easy, you still need to know how to do that. You need to have the green stuff, the gluing, the pinning, everything else involved to get something like that, which, again, beautiful. You have to get something like that off the ground. But then you come along. Well, in this case, you were ahead of him, but you had a technique that gave people a really cool effect. But you did it in fewer steps, easier steps, and in a more approachable way. So GG's for you.
Thanks. And I was a little surprised by so many comments and messages of people going like, "Wait, it was that easy?" Like they'd see my 4-minute YouTube video and think like, "How could he describe this in 4 minutes?" And then they watch and be like, "Oh, that's all he did." Like, I'm not a magician. I'm just kind of like, what do I got to work with? What random like things are lying around or that I just accidentally scroll past? And it's just like, hey, that could be used for something, and just throw it on Mall, see what happens.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like I see this and I think about oh god, I think it was Elementura did a not using flake, but did this like teleporter portal effect and then cut a oh god, what's the sniper unit for Necrons?
I know what you're talking about. It's on the tip of my tongue too.
Uh, yeah, Chat will tell us, and we'll feel dumb here in a second once they death marks. Yeah,
There we
that's
go.
it. He cut one of those in half and then had it like half walking through the teleporter, like it was coming out of the stasis oubliette. And I was like, brilliant. So it's all about, you know, like the converging of two ideas. I saw that effect and then I saw yours, and I'm like, you could saw off one of the legs and half an arm of a Harlequin and do the same thing, but with your with this oh, why do I keep messing up the word flake? I wanted to call it like shatter effect. I'm like, that's not
iridescent.
Yeah, your iridescent flake. You could do the same thing and have it be more energetic. Oh, and Cali also for 16 months. Holy shit. And it's less to paint. Oh, that makes it even better when you can have an effect that looks really good and it minimizes the amount of time you're actually painting. And of all things, Harlequins, because you did Harlequins the quote-unquote traditional way with checker patterns.
And it also maximizes the amount of bits you need. So one of those extra weapons that you had lying around is now a whole new model by itself.
Yeah, because isn't that a thing with Harlequins that, like, in order to make a whole unit, they don't actually give you enough guns to have all the people in the unit have the right gun?
Yeah, you get like 2 of each. Unless it's the shuriken pistol and the regular sword.
James Workshop! And Calisandra, like I said, for 16 months. Can we get a shout out for Callie, please? How you doing, Callie? Welcome in. I'm chatting with DDBuilds, painter extraordinaire, warlord tightener to the stars. And we're just chatting about the hobby and like the creative process. What questions, Didi, do you think people should be asking? Not of you specifically, but of other hobbyists, period. What are questions that you don't see asked enough?
questions, let's see, because a lot of people I know, like, what's your workup, what's your build up, what's your recipe, that sort of deal. But I think a better question is, what are you thinking of the miniature before you approach it? Like, you see, everyone has their own. Well, a lot of the established painters have their own style.
Hmm.
Like, sometimes it's just you can tell. Like, if you see
Like I know a
shoot, like
Jose da
Sam
Vinci
Blends.
piece when I see
Yeah,
one.
Jose. Yeah, when Jose's piece comes on the scroll wheel, you know what it is. But it's also like when you're trying to paint a miniature, whether it's display for your army, thematic, that sort of deal, you try and get into their head just to see a new perspective on how they approach the model itself before they actually start putting paint on it. Because it's not very often you find, like, actually, I don't know if I should say it's not very often because I can't speak for other painters. So it's
In your experience.
not everyone just goes for a model like that's part of an entire army and just does whatever they want with it. Like there has to be there's some methodology about it, some sort of reason for being, that sort of deal. Um, and it's usually when you start asking those questions on how to put something in, its set in, how to bring out its theme better, that you start really bringing a piece into its own.
I like that. Like being able to start to, from an artistic perspective, what like looking at the iridescent flakes that you were using, like what was DD going for here? Like what was his intentions with using this particular material other than
Mhm.
it was, it could be, you might, okay, for those outside of America this might not make sense, but at least when I was growing up we had to read a book uh by Gatsby.
Oh boy, there's the repressed memory.
Well, excuse me, The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. And there's a thing that English teachers seem to love to just be like, it was the green light at the end of Daisy Buchanan's dock across the lake or river or whatever it was. And it's like, oh, what does the light mean? What does it mean, Dee Dee? Write a 5-page paper on what the light means.
Yeah,
And then there's all these comments that when we're adults, it's just like maybe it was just a light.
yeah, the curtains were blue. What are you talking about?
And that's like, I mean, it could very well be that situation that we're like, oh, Dee Dee's going for this like iridescent flake to call in this specific description from this book of like how the Harlequins phase in and out of reality, and you're just like, I thought it looked cool. Sorry.
Sometimes that's all you really need. It's like, does it look cool to you? Then why does anyone else's opinion matter, so to speak, if they're criticizing you, I guess I should say.
Yeah, if people are being
Um,
negative, then you're just like,
but to back it all up a bit and just like, what was I doing with the iridescent flakes? The question's just, I mean, the answer is just really simple. It's, how do I sell the Harlequin's domino field? Like, how do you make it look like they're sort of phasing out of light? It's just like, well, iridescent flakes kind of shift the light depending on how you look at them. So if you just cluster a bunch of them from all different angles, surely that's a shimmer effect. So it was it was another one of my spectacle creep leap of faith sorts of deals.
and the basing on those, by the way, like the basing on these, incredible. Were
Thanks.
those three?
Also really easy,
Were those
deceptively.
3D printed or from
Oh no, it's
Necromunda?
the
Or
standard Necromunda base just for speed, and then painted metallics, threw on the caution stripes, washed, threw on pigments, and splashed some glossy red paint for blood.
still though, the like, and when it comes to like, I made my own bases for my sisters who are also on an industrial based setting. And the only reason why I felt like I could achieve it was because Midwinter Minis made his how to make industrial bases out of garbage video. And I was like, oh, the exact same reaction I had to your like using these iridescent flakes. I was just like, it's possible. I can do this. And I like finding out that zip ties are like perfectly scaled to be like floor vents blew my mind. was like, oh my God, they are. Who thinks like this?
Oh, yeah.
I don't. That's why I need all of you. That's why I need you
Zip
creative
ties
people.
are such flexible model. That I don't mean flexible as in like they're literally flexible, but
But they kind of are.
yeah, yeah. And geez, they can be used for so much.
DD,
Well, I did not call your minis that ever. Oilless, maybe maidenless, because they're not knights, but
children's art projects. See, like, good Lord, Will. Do you remember when again, it was like back in November, because like the winter holiday period was, you know, busy, of course, for all parties involved. But touch Grace, go touch Grace, nerd. But when we mentioned that we were planning on having you on the podcast, I think Will used every emote on Twitch for like a solid minute and a half.
And a good chunk of Baru votes. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it was hilarious and very adorable. Just like watching Will geek out. But Python brings it's totally unrelated to painting, but the touch grace, the fact that Elden Ring has turned the touch grass nerd into touch grace nerd, I love it. I won't play a second of Elden Ring. I will never do it. So that's the closest I'm gonna get, and I'm proud I get that reference. So
Solid has a good question.
Question for both of you: how much of what makes a good painter is practice / earned skill, and how much of it is natural gifting? I think there is no such thing as something that is locked to someone with natural talent.
And I agree with Dr. Rhino. Took the words right out of my mouth.
Anything that, granted, like, okay, yeah, there's some people that have a greater degree of hand-eye coordination or a better ability to translate what is in their mind, like through their hand onto a piece of paper or onto a model. There's some people that like color theory or blending makes more sense to them than it would to someone else. We all have natural gifts and talents. Like someone who's never painted before, if they sat down to paint, like say DD here had never painted a mini before, but decided to give it a shot. Given enough time, DD could discover that he actually has a natural affinity for and interest in freehanding. Actually, let's use something that DD has worked on, in this case really hard to get better at, and like it turns out that's something that he's really good at naturally. Cool. But I really believe that you can achieve anything as long as you practice it with like intent, not just like, I mean, I want to get better at wet blending, so I'm just gonna, you know, kind of go at it and just slap two paints together and just kind of mix them and hope for the best. Like you do have to put in the effort of like, watch a tutorial, ask questions, experiment. Don't just assume you know what you're doing, but you will get better. I mean, like all right, hold on. Let me show you something. This isn't even like the first model I've ever painted. I just grabbed a random Space Marine. It's early enough. I'm gonna switch to the live screen. Don't worry, DD is still here, but I just need to. So this was painted. It's probably somewhere around minus the transfer, but this was painted and based probably sometime in September or October of 2020. Okay. No blending, no dry brushing, no edge highlighting, nothing. I mean, good solid color blocking, and I applied the Turbo Dork paint with some efficiency, and it's pretty clean, and the eyes are blocked in pretty nice. Not bad. 2 years later, like basing, there's purpose, there is color, there is depth, there is a story being told. Like everything is blended. There's effects of rust and edge highlighting where it needs to be. There's soft blends, high blends. That's growth through like So you're saying I have a chance? Hold
You
on.
absolutely do. To add on to Dr. Rhino's commentary,
Yeah.
I have this love-hate relationship with the word talent. Uh, the hate being because I've heard it so much, like told to me, and some of the ways told to me is just like, you're so talented, I can never be that good. And there are people who just never try anymore because they don't believe they have the talent for it. And just to say it right now, talent isn't a disposition to be better than you. Talent is a head start on a race. You can still beat that guy
Mm-hmm.
because practice at the end of the day is what makes everything. Gifted people still have teachers. Like, just because they have a head start doesn't mean that you're never going to be able to catch up to them. You can absolutely catch up to them if they don't put the effort in.
Yeah, it's a
You can
tortoise and the
absolutely
hare.
succeed them.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I didn't either. Sorry, I'm just trying not to talk over you.
No, it's a bad habit of mine. But you're absolutely correct. The idea that, like, say Solid here, naturally gifted with painting minis, started in the hobby, absolutely crushing it, and is like, everyone's giving me accolades for the way I paint. Why do I need to challenge myself? I'm already awesome. But then DD comes along, and DD's like, man, I want to be better at insert thing that Solid happens to be really good at. I need to practice more. I need to keep practicing. And you keep practicing and you keep practicing and you keep improving, while Solid's just like, I'm going to do the same thing I've been doing forever. DD's going to get better. That's just how it's going to, you have to put in the time and the effort. It's just, you have a different, the other person happens to have a different starting point than you if they happen to have a little bit more of a, whatever secret sauce is in your genetics and your physiology, in your brain chemistry, that happens to make a certain aspect or just art in general make more sense to you. It's just a different starting point. So that was me agreeing with you and interrupting you at the same time. But Solid, that's a very that was a very good question. I like that question, because everything we've discussed so far, like, Will and everybody has been making a lot of good points. But DD here, you've really kind of, unfortunately, almost summarized everything so succinctly in like the first 2 minutes of the stream,
Sorry about that.
that you're just like, I wanted
it's just
to do
2
a
hours
thing.
of encore at this point.
Yeah, it's just I wanted to do a thing. So I clamped down on my fear and I just went for it. And I just kept trying, and it wasn't perfect every time, and I just kept trying. Little engine that built a Warlord Titan. And will build other big things, like coffee table big things, and probably paint it with an automotive airbrush.
I cannot wait for that thing to have an end table. I mean, I can't wait for the end table in general. God, I needed something to put my flask on.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah.
A thermo flask, by the way, not the drinking kind.
Oh no, absolutely. I need to get a better mug for my tea. It gets cold too quick. That's why I drink it so fast. If you guys haven't noticed that my energy level just spiked, it's because I had to drink my tea so fast because it was getting cold and gross. What's up, Hamburg? Just sitting here chatting with a bird.
Yep.
See, the bird talks, and it's a ventriloquist too. It doesn't even move its mouth when it talks.
Very experienced.
God, I am washed out right now. Hold on one second. You tell him something interesting, DD. I gotta fix my lighting.
Something interesting. He should have been more specific on that one. So, chat, what do you want me to tell you about? Because just letting me tell you about anything is very dangerous ground. And Dr. Rhino is very trusted on that one.
Okay. Is that any... Well, I'm not washed out. He absolutely did not tee that up well.
Well, to be fair to him, I swing at everything. I should probably rephrase that before that's used against me.
Nah, we're good. I have another question for you guys. Referring to Bob Ross's happy accident, what's your favorite happy accident? My sister.
Roll credits.
Yeah. Do do do
We're done
do
here.
do 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 do.
See you in court. Oh, perfect. The screen. Quick, run away while you have the chance. I'll keep her at bay.
Bruh, you're a miniature painter. You always look like a ghost. I have feelings, sir. And you hurt them. Hold on.
So, sorry we're dodging Solid's question, or at least.
Okay, that's better. I can live with that.
My favorite happy accident, falling back into miniature painting. Or at least falling into miniature painting. Because that was absolutely an accident.
I'm trying to think about like my models, and you know, the hell was that? The hell was that? I heard some weird baby noise, but unfortunately you chat wouldn't have heard it because I have the audio switch, so you can only hear DD instead of what comes through my speakers. So that whatever that was, that weirded me out.
Whatever that was, it kind of feels like that meme where like something just invaded your house. The closest thing next to you is now the weapon.
I have a chance. I have a pretty good chance.
Go for the eye.
I placed a poo sticker. Well, let's at least before it goes away. I'm gonna let. Where's the poo sticker? Did the poo sticker show up? Nope, poo sticker ain't here. Back to the podcast. It's the DoorDash guy. No DoorDash for me. Your boy made shepherd's pie for dinner. Yeah.
That did look tasty.
Oh my god, I fucking crushed that shit. I took it out from under the broiler. I looked at it, I'm like, I'm posting you on Instagram.
Oh yeah. Hashtag the good shit.
Yes, hashtag home cooked. But like, it's what I said was absolutely true. Like, I need a full meal if I'm gonna talk to DD, because like, again, exclamation point DD in chat. Guys, follow him on Instagram, follow him on YouTube. His videos are hilarious. His Instagram posts also hilarious because this man makes little comics with Legos and 40K models.
And if you're here from my content, follow Dr. Rhino, or I will find you. Wait, that might actually be something they're looking forward to. I will not find you. I will force you to like his comment, like his stuff. Yeah, that's an appropriate look. I'll take it.
You missed my happy accident being born.
I could give you a I wish I had a webcam so I could show you the look I was giving back, but unfortunately you're just gonna have to stare into the happy eyes of a bird.
Yeah. It's got cold, dead eyes.
The look of a serial killer is about to murder you. That's all you see. Just chirp, chirp.
It's like, oh, what a happy bird. Wonder what it's thinking about. I will kill you all.
Your parents will never find a body.
Ah! Squawk. Cracker. You missed my happy accident. Yeah, oh no, I read that part. Happy accident being born. Nobody exists on purpose. Everyone dies alone. Come have pie. Or whatever the line is. My favorite happy accident was when I put copper paint on my Skitarii Vanguard rifle. I had a paint scheme planned out with gold for that spot. Instead, it inspired me to make each weapon look different and switch up where the copper, gold, and silver showed on the gunmetal weapon. I love that.
That's a cool one.
Variety
is always great.
Variety is always great, but also it's that moment where you probably were going to put that copper on a specific place, and I do this thing where I'll like adjust. Oh, and Miniocalypse is rated in. What up?
Welcome in.
Everybody's coming to hang out because they're like, Dr. Rhino's on. Oh, DDBuilds. Yeah, let's go check that out.
No, they're definitely here for you.
So
no one just comes to a dumpster fire. I'll tell you that much.
I have this thing where I like adjust my brush in my hand as I'm going towards the model. It's not what you want to do because the brush tip will always be somewhere where I'm not anticipating it. And I usually like whack the model by accident and put paint where it's not supposed to go, and then just rinse off the brush and then immediately start cleaning it off. Oh, what's up? Hate. Bunch of underscores. And Chibi-wan, hello, welcome in. And Richard says, no, I really was an accident. Okay. See, because now it makes me think about the song from Motion City soundtrack, and I think it's called "My Favorite Accident." I think. DD, nobody raids in
Oh
when it's
man,
just in. We're all hard pass. Nope, that's accurate. So
I'm trying to defend you here.
no, hey, you can defend me all you want, man. I'm just spitting cold hard facts. You can be nice, but facts are facts. 12 underscores to be exact. That's a good number. It's one off
And
of
the
the
Bob
best
Ross for
number.
accent.
Maybe that needs to be my next emote, is me doing the Bob Ross.
Dude, yes.
But oh shit, what was I even gonna say? Right, happy accidents. So I'm flipping my brush around and stuff, and I'll like same thing. I haven't had like the super happy accident moment that you're talking about, Solid, but the boop. Oh. 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 And you just keep going. You're like, yeah, no, like this looks good. Like being able to accept that one, okay, you put paint where you didn't necessarily want it, but take that step back and be like, but actually, hmm. I would say that the closest thing to a happy accident moment I had was I was working on my Custodes color scheme and I was trying to get it to look more green and it looked too blue. So I was like, what if I took some of the transparent green, some transparent black, and you know, thinned it down and applied it, but I was really scared to do it. So I was just like, just like ever so light in the shadows of the model. And Maidens is coming
My
in today.
God.
Does nobody have anything better to do? Also, Miniocalypse, what were you working on today? Let me hear what your artistic journey was this evening. And Maidens Minis, same thing to you, my dude. Welcome in. We're gonna need a shout out for Maidens. Everyone who is rating in right now, members of the awesome mini painting community, super awesome people, and just fun to be around. So why don't you just give them a follow? Click that little twitch.tv and then just go click the little heart.
I was trying to figure out a window to do this, so I figure I just might as well just whatever.
All right, hold on one second. I'm going to mute DD so that he can't say anything back to this. Hold on. We're just going to... And there he goes. So, DDBuilds has decided to give 10 subs to the channel. And he's gifted them to Bobcat Jack, Brush for Hire, PSK, Angrous Angel, Auto Racing, Cosmic Leviathan, Crashing Atom, Zombie Bunny Creations, Ant and Wild, and The Pettis. DD didn't need to do this. DD shouldn't have done this. DD is here for me to enjoy his presence, not his dollary dues. But this is just going to show how awesome of a person DD is. I know that, like many members of this community, and he's muted, so he can't respond to any of this. I know that he, like many members of the community, if you ask them for questions, or if you ask them questions, if you ask them for help on Instagram, on YouTube, if you message them, they will help. They will, like, I can't think of any other place that would do that. Any other hobby, no one's willing to share secrets like this community is. So please recognize and love DD for the pillar of this community that they are, whether they accept that fact or not. So I'm going to now unmute DD. There we go.
You missed every single swear word I just created in the last 20 seconds?
No, it's just...
There's a lot of weird words out there.
It's just exclamation point DD. Yeah, there you go. There you go, Will. And Maidens. DD is a crazy bird, but an awesome bird. Accurate. But again, to our awesome raiders, hello, I am Dr. Rhino. I am talking with the... essentially Disney bird that speaks English, DDBuilds of Instagram fame.
It's a teaser of the new Disney princess.
I mean, I'd watch it, but this is an example of DD's work. These are some Harlequins with this super awesome iridescent flake effect that he's done. He has a YouTube video on how you can achieve this effect as well, and it is way easier than you might think. In addition to that, DD also makes his own little web comic involving 40K models and Lego men, and they are hilarious. So this guy's
That
Instagram
comic, that
is
comic is 100% a Trojan horse. It's just like slowly introduce Lego into the as a staple of my content. So people aren't just questioning like, hey, this is off brand. Like, no, it's not. It's been here.
it's been here longer than you have, chump. But like, yeah, like this is the kind of stuff DD does. He did a Warlord Titan and he free-handed all the panels. I'll be honest, the comic is why I'm here.
Well, I peaked. Thanks. Well, I'm out of here.
You'll take our love and like it, bird person. I love DD. Oh, yes, we do. We all love DD. Get in line, sucker. So what is...
I love you guys. You're all great. Like, Jesus, I just want to make people feel happy and just inspire people to find a new height. That's all I want to do.
I'm making people happy. I think that was a Simpsons line. Look at me. I'm making people happy.
I think everything is either a Simpsons line, a Family Guy line, or something that South Park made fun of at this point.
All shall love and fear me and despair. No, so what is... I mean, you've already done what many people would consider to be like the bucket list item for miniature painters, like the bucket list item of I did a Warlord Titan, and I know you have other things that you're doing, but it doesn't have to be a 40K mini. What is a mini that you don't have any immediate plans that, you know, like, so you don't have to accidentally reveal it as one of the the other 3 things that you have planned for the near future as far as big models are concerned? Big or small, what is a model that has really impressed you that you really want to paint?
In the immediate past few months, the new Eldar models are beautiful. And that's what I was afraid of. It's just like Harleys were, quote unquote, the little edging towards the abyss, yet another abyss. And it's just like, hey, these Rangers look great. That whole idea with like an Eldari immediate strike force that was just waiting in ambush or just comes in really fast, strikes where you can't see and then pulls out. It was like suddenly that was now viable. I was like, oh, great. Before it was just like, oh, they're fine cast. You can avoid that real easy.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to set that I won't touch it bar when that bar is fine cast. There were 1 or 2 models that I, same thing. I was like, oh, that's really cool. I might want to. Oh wait, there's a $20.50 price tag. You're fine cast. devil. And then I walked away and I never had any problems with it.
Yeah. And well, the real hard part about just getting excited for models is just like looking at my backlog and going, now where's that going to fit on the production line? Or like, where does that fit on my time schedule?
I wouldn't know what that's like.
Yeah, Mr. Superflex, the destroyer of backlogs.
But seriously, it's a problem. I need help. But I actually absolutely Will was one of the people that was giving me a lot of shit for this, as like many. But Noah Sarmi was the one who sent me the big lady as well as the 3 creature caster models, which is like the most generous thing. Like, you've run out of things to paint, have you? I'll make you regret those words. So they sent me this stuff, and it's now kicked off and worked its way forward. What do you mean what? What do you mean what, Will? I mentioned you to see if you were paying attention. So
just to address Python Knight real quick. So as someone that's new to mini painting, what's so bad about Finecast? And they're very unoptimized. They were originally metal molds and now they're throwing resin into it, and you get mold shift, you get what you call it, flash like crazy.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's extremely brittle. Finecast has improved over the years, but it's still like, even compared to like all of the bad things you hear about Forge World resin, Forge World resin is still even better than Finecast by leaps and bounds.
Oh yeah, easily.
You're absolutely taking a risk with Finecast, so it's beautiful that Eldar finally are getting away from that, because they deserved way better than Finecast.
But yeah, Python, if some of the terms that Didi was talking about didn't quite make sense. I mean, yeah, they do make, I guess they make sense on kind of like a basic like mold shift. Okay, I can kind of understand what that would mean, but essentially you have to spend a bunch of time with your knife on that model, scraping away like the little. Okay, let's look at, here's a modern 40K sprue. It has these little connection points, right? Like on this part, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 points where plastic was extruded into the mold to create this part. Finecast not only has these connection points, but because of the material, it required additional support. Didi, that would be correct, right?
Yep.
Okay, so there would
Support,
be
like fill in. That's sort. I'm losing the terms too.
and there's a connection, and so there'd be a connection here and 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 here. There's all these tiny little like bars that you have to go in and shave away. And in addition to that, like he was talking about, there's flash. So think like a mold line, but bigger, like a really tall, like a mold thin that you have to go in and shave that down. And like there's a spot where there's supposed to be a hole, but there isn't a hole because it's just a really thin piece of resin that you have to like poke into and then and then scrape all that out. It's a ton of work. And then also the worst part is a lot of these little things happen to be on the very fragile, thin parts. So you could be doing your very best, shaving these things down, being very delicate, and then arm comes off and you're just screwed. So, and a lot of them even just came out of the box looking like garbage. So avoiding fine cast models is way to go. You didn't mention the mold release powder. Yeah, there's also the fact that
agent and powder.
Yeah, resin models you need to put in a warm water bath and scrub with a toothbrush because there's this like oily like residue on the model that will keep primer and paint from sticking and adhering, and it'll just like you rub your thumb over it like as you're going to paint and you'll just take everything off right down to the resin. I've done it several times and it is very frustrating. And Watch Captain, hello. And Richard, again, we've hit a point. I'm okay now. I even have one more stopgap measure in the form of a last broodlord for Tycho's army, which he might actually even be commissioning me to do another army. So we need to finalize confirming the.
Can't wait
the
to
details.
see how that turns out because that's gonna look good.
Yeah, he well after this, if we do the other army, it's going to be Nurgle demons. So you're going to see your boy paint one of the 2 armies he said he would never paint because money.
Yeah, that's a +1 for what Richard just said too. GW is great at replacing any issues. It's just a crapshoot what you'll get. Yeah, GW's customer service is rather phenomenal, honestly.
Yeah, for all things considered, it is pretty good. They're just a bit overwhelmed given the unfortunate issues between.
Oh no, JD had just touched upon something we touched upon earlier.
DD is both a level I want to achieve and my desire to give up.
Never give up.
Never surrender.
You can reach my pinnacle and you can exceed me.
Yes.
All it takes is practice and effort.
Yep.
Bitterbrush actually has the best way of putting it because we're like really close buds at this point.
Good.
And his favorite way of seeing my stuff is like he gets excited seeing all this stuff and the new levels I'm reaching, but he's even more excited because he knows he's able to do it too if he puts the time and effort in. And he's absolutely wanted to do it, and hopefully I can actually show him and others because, well, I guess this is a teaser drop for content in the future, even though I kind of said it on my YouTube already. I'm working on a very intricate freehand course.
I'm in.
Like introduction, basics, building up techniques, how to approach targets, that sort of deal. And then after the general like few videos of how to do it, then I'll like go into more specifics, like this is on patterning for Harlequins, this is on like filigree, this is on how to approach a target, like let's make a landscape, how about a mountain, you want a waterfall, sure, we'll touch that too. And just because Will's going what and like freaking out again. Just to put it out there, this isn't an advertisement for something I'm going to sell in the future. I'm putting it onto YouTube for free.
Hold on,
I want people to learn.
I'm gazing into my crystal ball. What's this? The fog is clearing. I see. DDBuilds within the next 3 years being asked to do a class at Adepticon, and Dr. Rhino in the front row, wearing a DDBuilds t-shirt and blue parrot hat? This is weird. Anyway.
Oh my god, that would be the dream merch, a plushy bird.
But on a hat. Like on a hat, but like right up here, it's just blue parrot head.
Like perched on top of a hat.
Oh, I thought the head coming out of the hat, but yeah, that's even better. But then you, because then you could get the wings on the side of the hat going back, like blue wings, bird head.
Oh man, it'd be a crazy merch.
It would be. I wouldn't trust a crystal ball shaped like a water bottle. It only looks like a water bottle to the untrained eye. You saw that wrong. The wings could be oh yeah, it could be a deer stalker cap. The wings could be up and then they could fold down and it'll look like it's holding your head to keep your head warm.
Adorable as hell.
Oh no, it would be super cute.
And I know they're getting a cut now.
Oh boy. So folks, we've got DDBuilds here. I'll be honest with you, like we've already covered like so many great topics when it comes to mentality about approaching painting, like the technical approach. Like DD and I have been having great conversations here, and I don't want you guys to miss an opportunity to ask this guy any questions. What do you got? Let's see, and no more about the hats, because that's going to be a DD and me thing, so you don't get to butt in anymore.
I'd say ask me anything, but then someone would just jump in and just like, boxers or briefs?
Trick question, boxer briefs. Next question.
Thongs.
Thongs.
Oh, I said too much.
My man. It's the most comfort for me, man. It's 2022. Live and let live.
Look, when I'm free-handed, sometimes all I need is just a little bit of string flossing. I'll stop there. I'm stopping right there.
I have a very specific process for when I freehand. I have to get into a certain physical and mental place. And that place involves dental floss. Need I say more? I'm a little late to the Twitch. Can you start over? No. Feel free to subscribe to the Patreon, where you'll be able to have access to the VOD for a full month before it goes up on YouTube.
And of course, if you haven't already, don't forget to use your Twitch Prime for Dr. Rhino.
Exercises for brush control. Exercises for brush control.
Exercises for brush control teach me. Well, that's part of the course.
Oh, it is part of the course? Yeah, I was going to say probably start like practicing with like a pen and just making circles.
It's after the intro video, like easily. Because that's like a good chunk of how to do freehand is just making sure you're not fighting your damn brush. Because that's where most people make their mistakes. They're trying to do something that their brush just does not want to do at that moment.
How hard is it to get over the initial struggle with freehand? Like when you really suck in the beginning. I think you kind of just nailed it yourself. Like you're already acknowledging that you will suck.
Yeah, that's the first hurdle. Acknowledge you suck and acknowledge that freehand is essentially learning how to be better at handwriting.
Oh, then
you just gotta keep going. You just need to. Well, the good thing is like when you learn freehand, your calligraphy, your handwriting, it's all gonna improve.
Hold on, I need to really make sure.
We just lost Will.
No, Dr. Rhino handwriting terrible.
The shake of shame.
My handwriting is god awful, and it'll probably always be god awful.
When you want to do something like lava on bases for Legion or 40k, what's your approach? It's pseudo OSL. So you're gonna need a bright spot. That's the best way to put it. And the closer you get to the edges of any like sort of landmass, so to speak, like a giant chunk of black charred ground or whatever. That's as you approach that, that's the colors that are going to get darker. So you start pushing towards red and crimson and that sort of deal.
Rhino, I wanted to know how hard it was for, I'm assuming for you, like you, DD, for how hard was it for you to get past that, not how to get past it. So how hard was it to get past that mental block?
So it was essentially going back to what I said at the beginning. You just force yourself through it regardless of what your mind is trying to tell you. Because also start easy. Like, don't jump into freehand. Like, unless you're very experienced at painting or some other artistry on freehand control, do not just jump into like a full fresco of like a dolphin diving into this beautiful sea lit abyss as like the sun is setting in the background and
don't start with this.
Yeah, do not start with like a mass complex landscape.
Do like start with actually exactly where you said you started with your Bretonians. You started by banners and like basic shapes.
Yeah, they're shield
triangle, triangle, circle, square. Start by being able to freehand really basic shapes on mostly flat surfaces like a banner or a shield. DD, is that bad advice?
No, it's absolutely good advice. Just start easy, ease in. And I mean, like his mental experience, like how discouraging was it? It's not so. It wasn't really discouraging for me. It was more like doubt and skepticism rather than discouraging because ever since I left Warhammer over a decade ago, my dream was always to paint up a Bretonian army, and they demand freehand up the wazoo. Like they thrive on variety compared to most other armies. So if I was gonna reach that pinnacle after getting back into Warhammer, there was only one way to do it, and I had to get like attack them.
And I think that must be another important aspect to it is there has to be a goal, a reason why you're pushing yourself on your freehand. In your case, you're like Bretonians. They need it. That in your opinion, like someone could be like, nah, Bretonians all silver armor. Easy. And
yeah, it's easy to just make an excuse and go the other way. But if you want to learn, you're gonna have to learn how to climb that wall.
And you will, because you've already made the decision to like, I want the result of all this struggle. You acknowledge the struggle and you proceed to go with it.
So Richard, if you're feeling discouragement on it, it's absolutely normal. The hard part is not acknowledging that like where you stand skill wise and that sort of deal. It's acknowledging the only way to get better is just you gotta hammer away. It's just time and practice. Like I know I keep saying that, and probably everyone else will just keep saying time and practice, and just like, well, that's a simple cop out answer, but at the end of the day, that's all it really is. You have to approach things smartly, strongly, and you got to attack the actual root of the problem.
Favorite Girl Scout cookie, samosa. And I mean like samosas from like 15 years ago when you actually got an appropriate amount of cookies. What? Samoas? Oh.
Release
a Samoa.
Before I answer release the budgies question, real quick on Hamburg. I don't have a favorite Girl Scout cookie because I've never eaten one.
Fair enough. Probably
They usually have nuts in them, and that's a bad thing for me.
Well, there's also like if you want to look at like one of the best examples of shrinkflation in the American economy, look at Girl Scout cookies. It is disgusting. The cookies have shrunk by like 25%. You get fewer cookies in the tin and they cost more, but the box is the same size. But yeah, I saw Budgie's question as well, and it is a very good one.
My opinion, find a model you like that scares the living hell out of you, and that's the one you need to do.
I mean, you're not wrong. You actually basically said exactly what I thought when I started on this. This lady scares the shit out of me. Like from a design perspective, there's more like open skin tone and and there's faces, there's a lot of detail that I'm really intimidated by. But I knew that I wanted to get better at skin tone. And you learn by doing. And as easy as it is to say when I've finished the model that like, oh, if I'd messed up, I'd just start over. But I'm glad it pushed you down. Oh, dude, pushed the hell out of me. Noah, DD, this is the Noah that sent me the models.
Ah.
Excuse me. I would say painting commitment is a big one. Yeah, and Budgie's like, I'm sure everyone's schedule is different. As we've discussed before, I have the ability to, and I take advantage of the ability to paint every day for at least 3 hours, at least. And like, I never thought I would be the literal example of here is what practice and repetition, like I'm the living example of what practice and repetition can result in less than 2 years to have a, like we'll go back to the live screen to show this again. An example of, here is one of the first things I painted in like September of 2020. Here is something I've painted in March of 2022 that I'm entering in a painting competition. And this is the result of daily painting every day for almost 2 years.
And to touch upon an unfortunate point, we do have to address that not everyone has the same amount of time to paint as we do. But you have to make do with what you've got. When you do have time to paint, just, I guess, try and shoot. What's a good way to phrase it? Make it the best quality of time that you can do.
Yeah.
Like, approach it smartly. Approach it like, if you fail, you learn a lot more from a failure and a mistake than you do from succeeding, because you succeeded. Do you know how you succeeded? As opposed to, you failed. Why did you fail? What doesn't look right? So a failure, as a lot of people say, is one of the best ways to learn. And sorry, trailing off. I keep losing my track of mind.
Dude, I feel you on that. Being a streamer, at least I have like, I'm painting a model, so at least people can look at that. So when I lose my train of thought, at least they're potentially looking at something to make up for the fact that I've just like talked myself in a circle.
You don't even have me to look at. You have like this dumb little Disney bird just sitting on the screen.
Yep. But Solid talking about like enjoying every second of finally like challenging themselves with a model that's really intimidated them, in the case of the Silent King being the model for them. Yeah, there was something exhilarating about feeling like you're breaking the rules. I think that's the best way to describe when I was painting her. Every second that I was working on her and doing the skin tones, and the skin tones were getting better, I'm like, I'm breaking the rules. I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be doing skin on this scale with this level of detail. I shouldn't be doing it, but here I am. I'm doing it, and I'm not fucking it up yet. Oh my god! And that like excitement just drove me to paint and paint and paint and paint and paint. And this is the first model that I've ever spent more than like 3 or 4 hours in total working on. This was 15 hours of work. And then
see, I feel you on that one.
And then the next model, this guy was like 30. There's a book called Super Learning that breaks down ways to learn quicker and how to avoid repetition that won't help for people who have less time, etc. Yes, and as Didi was pointing out, with like making sure that your painting time, because not everyone has 3 hours every day to paint like I do. Quality time, I think that was the exact right phrase, Didi. I think that was the exact right phrase for it. Like, not being like, oh, I'll put on a Netflix show while I paint, or I'll do it. Like, no. If you want to paint, painting is your focus. I'm not saying paint in silence with like no lights on in the room or anything. It's just like this. I mean, maybe that works for some people, but I'm saying like put something on to listen to that is background noise, something quiet, relaxing. And then be very deliberate and focus on what your brush is doing. Like think about like, okay, I want to darken up this area. I want to put black down here, right? Well, I'm using a lot of warm red tones. Maybe what if I go with like a mix in a little bit of blue or a little bit of purple into the black for my shadows? Like, well, what does that look like? Like think about what colors you're applying, where you're applying them, how they help sell the look of your model. I think it's a mindfulness. And you hear that term thrown around a lot, like mindfulness meditation, just being aware of your surroundings. But in a way, kind of look at painting as a less, in my opinion, uppity way of looking at that. Like just being very deliberate and mindful about what you're doing and why you're doing it. It's not, I'm putting gold on. Well, why am I putting gold on here? Like,
And
answer the question. Why am I putting gold here?
and as an extra wild idea on improving your quality time while avoiding the quote unquote the risk of ruining a mini that you really wanted to paint, here's an alternative. If you go to like the dollar store or something like that, you could find these cheap plastic like army men or like animal packs that you used to play with as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a pack for like $1 at most of a bunch of random things that you don't care if you mess up, but that's also a bunch of random things that all could be painted differently. Different colors, different techniques, different textures. And what's the worst that can happen? You lost a 10-cent miniature.
Yeah.
So there's an idea if you don't want to risk it on your armies. And it is potential quality time because it's something different. It's not like I'm going to paint 20 more orcs and I can't figure out why I'm not improving as fast.
Mm-hmm. The other, like, because we've talked about, I really like efficiency and getting the maximum value out of what I'm doing. And a great one, hey Jet, and a great thing for that is painting terrain. Terrain has tons of detail. You can be as broad with just blocking in colors, or you can get down and dirty and putting like rivulets of rust coming from every rivet if you want to. So terrain is actually a great canvas to practice on, which ultimately you're going to have a
Grade 6?
oh my god. Hi Meg.
God.
So for everyone who's not aware, Meg's Mashables is my stream twin. We apparently started streaming like within a week of each other. So Lucky Paradox, Tiffers, Roxy. Hey everybody. Meg had to run
Welcome
to
in.
get food with her partner. Hello. Hey Chrissy, how you doing? Welcome in everybody. We'll need that shout out for Lucky Paradox. Thank you so much for the follow. So welcome in everybody. My name is Dr. Rhino. I paint minis. Like look, here's the thing. You can't really see it right very well, but I paint things. I like to play the game Warhammer 40,000 and other adjacent war games. And right now we are in my podcast, such as it is, where I'm having a conversation with fellow painter and just all around great guy and anthropomorphic bird, DDBuilds, who has painted such amazing things as this. And if you're wondering, like, well, what is that? Look at his hand for scale, by the way. Like, that's a man's hand holding that thing. And here's the thing it stands on. It's just, here it is. Various things for scale, like a banana, a red solo cup, a Lego man, a bottle of paint, a water bottle, a pen. He painted this. He painted this thing with exquisite detail. And if you do !DD in chat, you'll be able to check out his Instagram and his YouTube. His YouTube videos are hilarious. They are a lot of fun. They are very informative. He's very good at articulating potentially hard to understand artistic concepts, at least for like the things that he technically has achieved, and makes them easy to understand for someone like me and then everyone else. Is this man a wizard?
Nah, I'm a nerd and a bird. So a nerd bird.
I have a t-shirt that says nerd NIRD, and it's got a pigeon with glasses and a pocket protector.
God damn.
I've had that shirt for a really long time. It's probably the one I'm going to wear on Play on Tabletop.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, guys, if you have any questions, that's kind of what this has devolved into. We DD and I have been discussing the approach that one has to take for painting a model that large, and then that kind of sort of meandered its way into just painting your personal painting philosophies in general, approaching personal roadblocks when it comes to like you feel like you've plateaued as an artist and you want to keep going. Like how do you go about getting past your roadblocks, challenging yourself in a way that is healthy and productive but also still beneficial? A bird with man hands, weird flex but okay.
I think that's a Kingdom Death mini.
That is a Kingdom Death mini. Question: can DD and Rhino play Lego Star Wars Complete Collection when it comes out on April 5th on Steam?
Oh lord.
Or on April 5th on stream? I mean, I'm down.
Fuck it, let's do it.
Is it on like Xbox or like, I mean, it has to be on Steam for me to be able to play it. It has to be on PC. But if it's on PC, I'm down. I'm down to play PC Lego Star Wars. As long as if I have the ability to play as the little boxcar droid that
oh, a gonk?
I want to be no, the gonk's the gonk. Like, I mean, it's the slow walker droid. I'm talking the little like black boxcar thing.
Oh, the mouse droid.
Yeah, that like Chewbacca roars at. It like screams and run away. I want to play as that. I want to be that droid. So yeah, I'm totally down for that, budgies. Totally down for that.
I'd be down.
Cool. Yeah, we'll totally do that. But yeah, so again, Raiders. I paint things. There it is. Oh my god, Budgies has a dancing gonk droid. Where'd you get that? I want that. Where'd you get
Exiled.
a bunch of Star Wars related stuff? Did you go sub to that person specifically for the gonk droid? Because I probably would too. Gonk. All right. What else do we have? Come on, Didi. I need content out of you. I need the content. Man. Give me the content.
Yeah. We love Lego Star. Oh man, I guess transition into Legos. The other sync. Yeah.
Okay. So what? Actually, that is a really good. That is a really good transitional question, because the other thing, folks, if you weren't aware, as I'm sure many of you weren't, on DD's Instagram, he also has a little Lego comic called Studs and Bolters that involves Lego characters and Warhammer 40,000. And like, look, like these look like legit comic book panels. Like he uses the proper faces for expressing like when someone's talking, when they're not, the little comic book lines, like all this great stuff. The man makes Lego comics. Why do you make Lego comics?
I just like making stories. Like another way to make people smile, just something to build a narrative. Another way to introduce different things into my content without actually like dropping a big post about it that half the people might not even look at. So I guess another way to for people to look for things.
Lucky Paradox wants to know how you got into painting minis. They're asking me as well, but how did you get into painting minis? And Pyro rating in too? Good lord.
So I guess we'll start off with the quote unquote entry into Warhammer, which was back when I was in 6th grade and didn't give a damn about painting, but I liked the Warhammer.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw like I was just painting miniatures, like I just want to get this over with, and just like slapping it on as a kid who had no idea what he was doing. I was like, yeah, this is good, this is fine, whatever. But I just kept still sticking with the lore, checking things out. Fell in love with Bretonia, which is one of the hardest armies to paint, because one, they require color variety for like the original look, and two, freehand is a requirement. And it pretty much like 15, 16, somewhere around those years later, finally decided, screw it, why not just try it? I mean, you still have some of them left over in the boxes that you never opened. Yeah, that's how long I've had some of these Bretonians. They were just sitting there. And it's just like, why not see if you can actually get the skills to paint them? And then now here I am.
And I mean, that seems to be like kind of a really common trend, at least among like people our age with 40K. Is like I dabbled in it when I was pretty young, went away from it when I was a teenager through my 20s, but then like near the mid end of 20s into the 30s, get back into it hard and start taking, like, at least, obviously in our little sphere, taking the painting side seriously. Do we still have a mod in chat who can give Friendly Pyro a shout out, please? Hey, what you doing here? I'm chatting with DDBuilds, painter of Warlord Titans and maker of Lego comics. This guy. So my journey into Warhammer is actually, and painting minis in general, Lucky, was actually pretty recent. I got into the miniature hobby of 40K with essentially as a needed form of stress relief. I during August 2020, so the pandemic was really starting to ramp up, and it was realizing like this isn't going away anytime soon. My job was very stressful, and I was looking for some sort of creative outlet. And I'd always been tangentially aware of the 40K universe. Like I kind of knew what a Space Marine was, I kind of knew what the Imperium was, and I'd always kind of enjoyed the lore. Like there were YouTube channels I would listen to, like the 40K lore for newcomers series that 40K theories did. I enjoyed listening to the stuff about the Horus Heresy. I'm like, I have no idea who these people are, but listening to like brother against brother fighting to destroy or to save the Imperium, and I'm like, this is cool. And then I just thought, what do I have time to do now because of lockdown that I wouldn't have normally had time to do? And one of those things was learn how to play Warhammer. So I dragged a friend in. I played on Tabletop Simulator for a bit because it's free. So you can try out the game, try out the armies, and all you have to do is pay the $5 while it's on sale for Tabletop Simulator, and then you can play the game as much as you want, as opposed to investing a bunch of money into an army. And then I was like,
out you don't want to do it.
And yeah, and then like that's the worst. Like, could you imagine being like, I think this army looks pretty cool. You buy it, you spend a bunch of money, you paint it up, and then all of a sudden, I don't like this. So now you're stuck with something that you don't like. Ugh, that's awful. So I tried it on Tabletop Simulator. I liked it. I liked it a lot. And I started thinking like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if my guys looked like this? Oh, wouldn't it be cool? I think I need to buy the models. So then I just went whole hog and bought an Indominus box and paints and everything. And it's just been all downhill from there. So I got into it as a form of stress relief because COVID plus my job was really stressful. And I needed a break.
Last 2 years were a mess. It's still a mess.
DD, what is the dark subterfuge going on with the orcs and the reporter? I need to know.
Yeah, I already answered him. I can't say spoilers.
Okay. Hi, what you doing here? Already answered that. We're chatting with DDBuilds, super awesome painter extraordinaire. That's because hopefully you are now an adult with money in your 30s for Warhammer. I'm in my 30s. I wouldn't say I have money or or I'm an adult, but I am in my 30s. I should play on Tabletop Simulator before getting as into this hobby as I am. Nah. Everyone's journey into the hobby is different. If you like the models, ultimately you got into it because you thought the models were cool. Everything after that, like if you love the look, like if you look at this guy and you're like, this guy is awesome, and all the other models that are like part of this guy's army are awesome, it doesn't matter how the army plays. You will find a way to enjoy playing the army that you like the way it looks. Do not ever buy an army because because it's good. Whatever army is good will not be good within the next 5 months. I guarantee it. Guarantee it. Yeah, buy something you think looks cool.
In 40K is very expensive.
If it's expensive and it's chasing the dragon, you'll catch it for like a week, and then they'll either nerf your army or something will get a buff that'll be able to beat the crap out of your army. So I am building Star Wars Legion stuff right now, and I love it a ton. There are lots of great mini games out there. Agreed. I'm actually getting into one called Conquest: The Last Argument of Kings.
That's a great one.
Yeah, it's very reminiscent of, apparently, I never played it, but very reminiscent of old Warhammer Fantasy. Uh, rank and flank, so you have like square blocks with all the units on it, and you kind of like you turn them and you move them like in a more low fantasy kind of way, like, oh, I got to bring these guys over here and charge them over, and
classic ancient warfare formation battle.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the good old time. I there's a new faction coming out, which was someone summarized for me as undead Roman legions, and I'm like, sold. I'm in. I haven't done an undead army yet, and I knew that was going to be my undead army. And also the models are actually a slightly larger scale than 40k, which will give you more room to kind of like have some fun with them. I'm really excited.
Mm-hmm.
Total War with plastic models.
AKA Warhammer Fantasy.
Yep. I only spent like $500 on Imperial Knights and haven't even played a single game yet. Python, same. I have my Knight Megara, my 3 Moirax, and my 4 Warglaves back there. Haven't played once with my Knights. But I plan on playing. Bianca, another amazing streamer. Hold on, DD. It looks like my mods have done gone dusted. Let me get the
no worries, man.
That's going for Friendly Pyro and Art of Bianca. Art of Bianca and apparently her sister Crystal, who sounds way too much like her when I'm across the room and I'm like, oh, let's hop into Art of Bianca stream. Oh, hi, Bianca. This isn't Bianca.
Sorry, just had to do a quick answer for Friendly Pyro there. Yes, a knight army is 100% a thing.
What? You're not Bianca? But, oh yeah, knight armies are totally a thing. Like, behind me is a total of 8 models. And that is essentially 2,000 points. And that's a large size knight army. A smaller one, if you ran more big guys, would be 3, then 2, so like 5 guys, because 3 big titans and then like 2 armators.
Or if you want to take the like Adeptus Titanicus route, you can do a swarm of Imperial Knights.
Yeah, but I mean that's Titanicus, which is like designed for knights. Like this is knights in like,
40k.
In 40k, which
ooh,
it's fun. It's fun. I mean, I assume I haven't gotten to experience it yet, but I want to. I think one day, because I'm teaching my dad how to play 40k. We actually played a game earlier this week, little 500-point game, open war. He was playing Dark Angels versus my Sisters of Battle, and it was actually a relatively close game. I only won by 1 point, but he if he starts getting a little too big for his britches, I would hope that if I'm like, hey, let's play a little 1,000-point game, and then I just put like 5 Warglaves down on the table, I'm just like, I'm gonna make you cry. We'll see what happens. I definitely want to work at least 1 converted knight into my rebel army. Oh, you totally should. Do it.
Knights are perfect platforms for conversion. If you're feeling lazy and you just want to buy really good, well done custom bits, there's a guy named Taro Model Maker out in Britain, sells beautiful stuff he makes himself. And he's also a Golden Demon winner. So bunch of the stuff he makes is with the intent that it needs to look good.
Well, I would hope that most of the time, like stuff is made, it's made with the intent to look good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, hopefully.
Okay, I need to run and heat up some dinner. I'll be back in a little bit. Coolio! But yeah, AdMech plus Knights is a good... oh, wait. The chainsaws. Like, is he the guy who has, like, the chain glaive? Like, not chain or glaives, chain reaper like, thing?
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah, he also might need one of those.
He has a Tau line now, too. Like, specialized Tau weapons. He has conversion bits I bought for the broadside to give him that old classic look, and oh, it looks so good.
Hey, TC.
He did a phenomenal job. Oh, TC. How it goes, man?
Another amazing artist.
Really good drawer.
Yeah, TC and I will have to have a chat at some point, once I have the money to do it after I've finished my tattoos that have been waiting several weeks, or not weeks, excuse me, several years for me to finish them. But I'm gonna have him do up a Trazen the Infinite image that I'm gonna get tattooed on me.
Oh, that's gonna be sick.
Yep, Trazen is my #1 favorite character in all of 40k, and Fabius Bile is my second favorite.
Doesn't Taro have the extra knee joints and waist spacers as well? Yep.
And physics, yeah. And Caillou, hello. Welcome in, everybody. Yeah, we're having a great time chatting with DDBuilds here on Office Hours, Dr. Rhino's podcast.
It's been a fun chat.
Yes, it has. And wait, Fabius too? Oh, no. Like, Fabius may come later. I like Fabius, but he doesn't have I don't want a grizzled old man covered in like skin cloaks on my body. Cool robot man looking smug, yes. Old man with weird spider backpack, no. So who wins a game of steal each other's stuff? Trazen or the Blood Ravens? Trazen. Because the Blood Ravens don't know how to stop stuff in literally a pocket dimension.
Trazen's done it for eons.
Yeah. And yeah, come back to me when you steal when you steal Krieg. Creed?
Yeah.
General Creed? Or whatever his name is. Trazen has more practice. He does have more practice. He looks cooler. Commissar. Yeah, Creed. Yeah, the guy who led the forces on Armageddon. Not Armageddon. No, don't yell at me. Don't yell at me. Cadia. Don't yell at me.
Trazen, the greatest museum,
real nerd. Katie
the greatest museum curator of the 41st millennia.
Oh, the best, like, when I didn't even realize it happened in a Fabius Bile book. But, and I won't spoil it for anybody, but my two favorite characters happen to interact with one another. And the fact that they did, that already happened, period, was making me like read the book just like, But on top of that, the way they interacted was exactly how I would imagine it. Like, Trazen's just like, come look at my shit. Because he really is like a museum curator. The guy is very much my kind of insane. So
and he's willing to just like barter and chill with all these other races as opposed to like different Necron lords who are like, these are all beneath us. And he's just like, yeah, well, I can talk to him for a bit just so I can, browse future material for my museum.
Yep. Or in the Infinite and the Divine, the whole thing with like him being super proud of his stained glass window. That was a good one. The Infinite and the Divine is one of the best books, not just DW books, but a solid book, period. Totally agree. Great moments, great story. Do you have a window?
Write that one down then.
Yeah, oh, dude, it's so, if you can, or if you're into audiobooks, and this goes for you too, chat. The Infinite and the Divine as an audiobook. Oh, so good. The guy who does the reading for it gets Necron voices, in my opinion, perfect. Exactly the way I imagined they would be. So yeah, highly recommend the audiobook. Also, recently there's been a new Necron book series that has started. There are already 2 books. I've only listened to the first one, but it's The Twice Dead King. Yep. The Twice Dead King has created what might arguably be one of the most interesting main characters in 40k, period. Do they sound at all like Skeletor? If not, I'm out. They do not sound like Skeletor.
Nagash.
They do not sound like Skeletor. Nyaha! I'll get you now, human.
You win this time, Sigmar.
What? Oh, hell. All right, folks, I'm going to give you guys 5 more minutes to ask questions of DD, and then I'm going to let him have his evening back. Because we've already taken up like almost 2.5 hours of his night. And I've enjoyed every second of it, but the man probably needs to eat. Or
I don't mind either. It's 6 o'clock my time.
Oh, all right. We've narrowed him down to the West Coast.
Arizona. There you go.
Arizona. Oh, that's
I'm 30
Monument
minutes
Hobbies
from
is in
Monument
Arizona,
Hobbies.
right?
Yeah, I go to the HQ like every other week.
Oh, sweet. Well, if you go there and Slow Fuse is there, tell him Dr. Rhino is gonna like high five him or something at Adepticon.
100% will tell him because he's always there.
Well, I mean, I assume he would be.
Yeah, I'd hope he's there.
I would love to make the trip out there to the Monument Hobbies like location. I just kind of
like,
want to see how things. Jason lives there.
Yeah, we'll tell you some certain times because if you show up at the right time on like Friday nights or stuff like that, you can get a game in.
Oh,
They do have gaming tables and everything.
oh, that'd be even cooler to get my ass kicked by Jason because I spend so much time like hobbying that I never find time to play, which is one of the reasons why at Adepticon I just want to play. That's all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna like be like how do I keep describing it? Like I'll be a Pokemon I'll be a Pokemon trainer when you're playing Pokemon. I'm just gonna be staring straight ahead. And if you walk in front of my field of view and you make eye contact with me, I point at you and say, "We have to battle."
Just charge forward, awkward stand, assert dominance, never break eye contact.
Yep, and just be like, "All right, come back to this table. You and I are playing 2,000 points of 40k. Let's go." Like that's gonna be me for 4 days.
And then when you lose, you just slam a whole stack of Monopoly money on the table.
Yeah, I'm like, "Oh, you beat me. Take this and this potion." Rhino, my son, in a lot of ways, is like a puppy. Can I spray him on the nose with water and say bad when he acts up? I mean, you can, but after a while, DCFS might get involved.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't advertise that.
But I think, like, it just so happens, Budgies, if you happen to have another kid, I'm all for my idea of how punishment works. Like I've explained it to my wife, like, oh, why don't you do this? Because my wife's a teacher. I'm like, why don't you do this with your students? Because this would totally stop, misbehavior in the classroom because they would start self-policing. And she's like, no, we can't do that. Because I'm like, oh, what if one kid's being a little shit, right? You tell the whole class, hey class, it would be recess time now, but you're not going to go to recess because little Dee over here kept being a Dee dick. So now you don't get to go out to recess because of Dee. Double dick. He he ruined it for all of you. So those kids are going to self-correct after school. They're going to be like, hey, Dee, why didn't I get recess today?
See you in the back alley.
Yeah, we'll see you, kid.
Bring your Pokemon cards.
Sand in a hose. I'm assuming you mean in a hose so it doesn't leave marks. Phone books. One sock stuffed inside of another sock.
A sack of oranges.
A sack of oranges. I'm like one model short of a 2,000 point game. Oh, Python. For that, like being... I think people have this misunderstanding that when they say a 2,000 point game that you have to have exactly 2,000 points. Get close.
Yeah, you can go
just
under.
Just get close, because if you actually look at the way it's described, it's a range of 1,001 points to 2,000 points. That is a 2,000 point game.
Like you could totally show up to that with like 1,200 points, but you probably shouldn't expect to win, but you can.
You'll go a little over. And TC, what tattoos am I planning? I need to finish my chest piece, the cover up that I was getting done here. It's basically done, and the guy is also doing a rework of this one on my arm, this green guy, because the original artist moved to Texas before the tattoo was finished, and he neglected to tell me that he was doing that. So
wow.
Yeah.
That is...
I think I'm at
Wow,
like 1,700 once I get my most recent knight built. 1,700, like that's like if you get 17, like 2 warglaves will put you at like 1960 or 1980. And then after that, it's just like upgrades and you'd be at 2,000 points. Also, people play lots of games at 500 points, which is a lot of fun. Yes, 500 points is quick. What else do we got here? I'm not seeing any questions.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, Didi, without further ado, let's get
Yeah,
one
sounds like a good
more.
place to call it.
Let's get an exclamation point Didi in the chat, please. So so we can get one more opportunity. I mean, the command isn't going anywhere. So anytime Didi shows up in chat, anybody can go exclamation point Didi, so you'll get links to his Instagram and his YouTube. That command is always going to be there. Who's a better painter, Didi or Thunderhead?
These are the worst kind of questions.
That's the kind of question that I think it's you can say which person is particularly better at one skill or another because that particular thing can be measured, but overall as a painter that there's just too many factors that come into place that or come into needing to be accounted for that you can't place people like that.
It's like saying who's better, Richard Gray or Sam Lenz, or like picking other Golden Demon painters.
Yeah,
It's just like even if they go head to head and one other person, like one wins over the other, it could easily swing the other way for another reason.
yeah, exactly. So Drakari, I think who's the better painter? Both. They're equal in my heart. Boo! Oh, Doc, you suck. Boo! And like, yeah, I'll own that.
Which of Rhino's dogs is better? Yes.
Correct answer. That is the correct answer. Who is the better painter? Yes. So yes, my favorite part is the intricate designs under the blue. Same. But yeah, everyone, let's give a big thank you to DDBuilds as we let him go back to not having to speak to me on Discord.
Go back to the roost.
Yes, go back to your cage. Take this saltine, which I offer in gratitude.
It's sunset. I need to start like chirping very obnoxiously.
Perfect. All right, Didi, thank you so much for your time, my man. It has been an absolute pleasure speaking with you, and I know we're going to definitely be doing something like this in the future, whether or not we are playing Star Wars at the same time.
Yeah, it's a privilege, man. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, everybody, another goodbye for Didi's. Didi's, you have a lovely evening.
I'll be back, but